I want to talk to you guys about five-star recruit, according to 24/7 Sports, Mikey Williams, who just yesterday committed to Penny Hardaway's Memphis Tigers. Obviously, he's one of the most well-known high school athletes, especially starting out his freshman year. He was toward the tops of a lot of class rankings, but since then he has dropped. But before I kind of go into that, Jake, I want to hear your thoughts on this situation.
I want to start this topic off just giving some props to Penny Hardaway, because if you look at maybe the top 3 most viral high school prospects of the last decade or so, I would say you've got Zion Williamson, Imani Bates, and Mikey Williams. And 2 of those 3 were flipped and committed to Memphis. As Imani Bates, he's not playing there now, obviously, transferred to Eastern Michigan. But there was a lot of hype when he went to Memphis. And now, just with Mikey Williams going there too, Penny Hardaway, got to give him his flowers, getting some of the top recruits to that school.
For real. I think the way Penny has just, I know he hasn't had a lot of success with a lot of these higher class recruits, but the fact that he's still able to just keep bringing them in, I feel like really expands his potential as a coach. But like I talked about before, we haven't seen him have much success with, he brought in James Wiseman a few years back and then had the Imani situation last year. And I would like to say there were wild rumors that Imani was saying that he didn't want recruits to come play for Penny next season, which I think just speaks to how wild that situation was. But I think Penny being able to bring in these guys just speaks to, I think, the type of person that he is, and I think that he really sees potential in a lot of these guys. And I'm excited to see how Mikey plays, especially since I don't feel like we've seen a lot of him in the AAU circuit ever since he signed that contract with Puma. I was keeping up with a lot of like the EYBL circuit, which is Nike's big league that they do over the summer, and some of Adidas's. And coming into your senior year, I feel like this is probably one of the biggest times for AAU ball, and we really didn't see a lot of him going up against high-level competition. So I feel like his ranking where he's at now, I feel I'm already of the position that they don't really mean much, but I think that his is really, we'll see if it either overvalues him or undervalues him as a player.
Was this a surprise to you?
Honestly, yes, because Mikey before, he had said that he was either going to go to an HBCU or just based off of his actions. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad person, obviously, but like, he just made it clear that, you know, he wants to get his money. He wants to get his bread. So I was expecting him to either do that or just go to the G League. But I think also a lot of those comments he made about going to HBCUs and stuff, that happened before
NIL.
And I think that probably played a big factor in his decision as well.
I'm willing to bet we'll see quite a couple advertisements come up regarding Mikey Williams, and I'm sure he's gotten at least offered the bag at Memphis.
The commercials, bro. Like, we've already seen college players getting Gatorade commercials. Mikey Williams has such a massive following on social media where, I mean, every single brand, and he's such a marketable player because he's responsible. He seems pretty mature for his age. So all of these brands are just going to want to get at that following that he has in the basketball world and just in general on social media.
And back to Mikey, I know the G League Ignite, or at least you said the G League Ignite was reaching out to them, or to him, for him as an athlete. Do you think, as a basketball player, do you think it was more valuable for him to go to college like he is now, or do you think he maybe should have taken a shot with the Ignite?
I feel like that's a good question, but I feel like the G League, even though it has shown a lot of potential, I feel like with college, there's still good sides to that too. And I feel like the G League just hasn't been around long enough for me to explicitly say like, yeah, this is the better route, like go here. But I think there's pros and cons to both. And I think when you go to the G League, even though you're playing against better competition, I think when you go to college and you have more success like on the brighter stage and on the national stage, it just helps your draft stock naturally. Like, unless you're like Scoot Henderson or somebody who's just already kind of getting that attention. But I feel like this is kind of off topic, but I feel like if he hadn't played Victor, he wouldn't be getting that attention he's getting now. But to bring it back to Mikey, I feel like him going to college is good for his stock. And I think if he can make things work at Memphis, I think that it'll go up.
And I think Mikey Williams is a different type of prospect to review in terms of the context of what G League Ignite is, because he's already been in the spotlight for such a long time, and he's already made so many brand deals as a young player. Like, he's already signed with Puma, I believe, as just a player in high school. So not that he doesn't need the money that G League Ignite provides. I think they can make up to around $500,000 for that 1 year, which is definitely significant. But he already has the reach in terms of branding, and he's already made a ton of money at this age. So I think with him getting in college basketball, it provides a good opportunity for him to kind of see a different side, because people kind of just know Mikey Williams as like the overtime kid, but I worry that they relate him too much to a guy like Julian Newman, who is known on YouTube for like just clips of the younger stuff. But Mikey Williams is actually a legit basketball player. Like, he's top 50 in the country on basically every recruiting site, and I think people kind of sleep on him. I don't want to sound like a Mikey stan, because I'm definitely not, but I feel like he is slept on a little bit just because people don't view him the same as other prospects who are just known for being really good at basketball.
I think that also kind of goes back to my point earlier where I talked about he signed that contract with Puma, and that stopped him from playing in a lot of AAU circuits. I feel like, too, we just don't see him go. Like, I feel like the stigma he's had his whole career, because he's been playing, he played at San Ysidro, and then he's back there for his senior year. But even last year when he was at Vertical Academy, and the year before he was at Lake Christian, he wasn't at like a lot of high-level schools like Montverde, IMG, Oak Hill, or whatever. And so people have always just pegged him as somebody who's been playing against soft competition. But I think him going to Memphis is good for his game in that he'll be playing essentially against, hopefully he'll be playing against a lot of other NBA prospects and some top 25 teams in the country. And like, we'll really get to see how valid of a hooper he is.
And I feel like what I meant by people don't view him the same as other top prospects, people know Mikey Williams for stuff on YouTube. Like, I know a while ago there was clips of him playing pickup ball with Flight on YouTube just at a random gym. And it's like, yeah, that's funny and entertaining, but at the same time, he is still a legit top 50 prospect. And there were colleges basically lining up to offer him to play at high-level D1 basketball, and I don't think people give that enough credit. Even if they aren't fans of Mikey Williams as a brand, I think that they still need to respect him as a player.
Mm-hmm. I think another reason why this is a good decision is because I feel like his game is just very raw. Like, I feel like he's somebody who relies a lot on his athleticism, and he can kind of score in a lot of ways, but I feel like he doesn't have like a go-to kind of way of kind of killing you, if that makes sense. Like, he can kind of do damage everywhere, but I feel like when he goes to college, he'll be able to kind of find what's the best way to score for him and kind of work out how he can reach his full potential.
I actually love that point too, because I feel like a lot of people probably see Mikey as a selfish basketball player or like a one guy on a team type guy. But by him going to college, he can have the opportunity to prove that he fits into a team system. And I think GMs will probably value that experience a lot, because his whole high school career, he has been this superstar among just kind of no-name players. And now moving into a team like Memphis, he'll fit into some sort of offensive system that Coach Hardaway kind of cooks up. And GMs will be like, oh, he can actually play in a team setting and not just be this one superstar that everyone knows.
And I think overtime kind of they kind of turned him into a prospect, one of the first of its kind, where like a lot. I don't want to say he got his whole like high school life and high school career documented, but like he had like a couple seasons of a literal show that overtime produced, almost like. Not documentary wise, it wasn't a documentary as much as it was like basically like a reality TV almost for
almost like a vlog
basketball prospect. And I feel like it's when you watch something like that, it's kind of hard to like put that into like him being a real basketball player because, well, reality TV isn't really that real sometimes. But
yeah, you see this kind of concept come up with Jared McCain as well for Duke.
I was about to say that.
Like, he's really good, but since he's famous on social media, a lot of people either hate on him for it or just think they're kind of a joke. But like, he's literally a top prospect that has NBA potential, and not enough people realize that.
Yeah, I think it even kind of comes down to the same thing with Bronny a little bit. Like, people are over hating on him just because he's LeBron's son and he's getting a lot more attention. But it's like, no, that kid can really shoot the ball. And I think this is I think an effect of the social media era. Like, when kids are going viral off these clips, people are just going to hate on them based on, you know, like you talked about guys like Julian Newman. And I think they don't really give them the chance or take into account their situation and their circumstances and the real potential that some of them have.